Hello guys, and welcome back to a new video on my channel. Today there are finally no clouds, so we'll be doing some deep sky astrophotography. Tonight we'll be shooting the Orion Nebula. I have already set up the telescope, so this scope is actually the scope we'll be using for tonight's astrophotography session. Probably you haven't seen this telescope yet. That's because I have upgraded this telescope over the past few weeks. So before we start, I would like to introduce the telescope we'll be using for tonight's astrophotography session. This video is not sponsored and not being paid for it. All products shown in this video were purchased by myself. But now I would like to introduce the telescope to you. So this is the mount I'm using. This is the HEQ5 Pro Go-To mount. This is a go-to mount, which means I can select an object I want to photograph, and then this go-to mount will directly slew to the object. So this is the basis of the entire system. On top there is the telescope I'm using. This is a Newtonian telescope, which means that there is a mirror placed inside. Here at the back is a mirror, and there in the front. This is the telescope I'm using. This is the Skywatcher 750 PDS Newtonian telescope. Since this is a Newtonian telescope, there is a lot of chroma in our final image. So that's why I'm using this telescope in combination with the Maxfield chroma corrector. Tonight I will attach the chroma corrector here to the focuser. To the chroma corrector itself, I will attach the camera. Right now you can't see the camera because I'm using the camera right now for filming this YouTube video. So this is the camera I'm using. I'm using the Canon EOS 2000D. This is a DSLR camera, and to control this entire setup, I'm using the CWO 8IR Pro. So this is this part here. This is an Astro computer that allows me to control the entire setup. So I'm using this Astro computer to control the mount, to control the guiding system, to control the camera. So the entire system is controlled by this Astro computer. Something that is very new to this telescope is this guiding system. Tonight will be the first time using this guiding system, so I'm very excited if it's working. This is the guide scope. This is a guide scope with a focal length of 240 millimeters and an aperture of 60 millimeters. Here at the back you can see the guiding camera. This is the CWO ASI 120mm mini mono guiding cam. So this is initially the entire system I'm using for tonight's astrophotography session. Later on I will as well attach the chroma corrector in combination with the camera. So that's the entire system we'll be using for tonight's astrophotography session. As I mentioned earlier, we'll be photographing the Orion Nebula. This is not the first time photographing the Orion Nebula. I have already photographed this region a few times in the past. The very first time was some kind of 2 years ago. I used the Canon EOS 2000D in combination with a 75 to 300 millimeter lens at a focal length of around 75 millimeters without tracking. So the image you can see right now is the image I captured at this time. There are not that much details in the image. I decided to photograph the Orion Nebula once again. This time I used the Canon EOS 2000D in combination with the 75 to 300 millimeter lens once again, but this time I used it on this HEQ5 Pro Go-To mount. This allowed me to use longer exposure times, which results in a better image in the end. So the image you can see right now is the result I achieved during these 3 nights I captured the Orion Nebula, and you can see that there are a lot more details in this image. For the image you can see right now, I used a focal length of approximately 135 millimeters, so it was a little bit more focal length compared to the last time I captured the Orion Nebula. So tonight I will capture the Orion Nebula once again. The last 2 times I photographed the Orion Nebula, I've photographed the entire constellation, at least a part of it. But this time I would like to focus my framing on the Orion Nebula itself. The last 2 times I photographed the Orion constellation, there were also a few other nebulae in the image. There was the Flame Nebula as well as the Horsehead Nebula. But this time I would like to focus my framing on the Orion Nebula itself. Since I'm using a focal length of 750 millimeters, the only nebula visible in our framing will be the Orion Nebula. So these are all the things you need to know about tonight's astrophotography session. Hopefully it will stay clear and we'll be able to capture some amazing images. Hello guys, and welcome back. My telescope is capturing right now images of the Orion constellation. I've been shooting the Orion Nebula for around 1.5 hours right now. Unfortunately, there are a few clouds right now, so unfortunately I have to stop my astro session. I have collected 1.5 hours, which should be enough to reveal details in this nebula. The image you can see right now is a single light frame captured with this setup a few minutes ago. I've been using an exposure time of around 1 minute. Actually, I plan to use an exposure time of around 5 minutes, but unfortunately it's very windy outside here, so I'm not able to get a sharp image with exposure time 5 minutes. That's why I'm using an exposure time of around 1 minute. Last night, everything worked well, and in total I was able to achieve an exposure time of 1.5 hours. Earlier this morning I already stacked and combined all the light frames captured last night, and unfortunately you can't see that much details yet. So I have decided to photograph the Orion Nebula once again tonight in order to achieve longer exposure time, in order to reveal even more details. So tonight we'll be photographing the Orion Nebula once again. In total I would like to achieve an exposure time of at least 4 hours in order to reveal details in the Orion Nebula. In the second night, everything went according to plan again, and I was able to gather more hours of exposure time. The image I'm about to show in a few seconds is my completed project of this nebula. Say hello to the Orion Nebula. This is my best capture of this nebula. Overall, the image has an exposure time of 4 hours at an ISO value of 800. Feel free to comment if you have ever photographed the Orion Nebula before. In summary, I'm absolutely happy with this result. I didn't expect that my finished image would contain so many details. The Orion Nebula, also known as M42, is one of the brightest and most known nebula in the night sky. Located in the Orion constellation, it is approximately 1,344 light-years away from Earth and has a diameter of around 24 light-years. This region is a site of active star formation, containing a vast collection of young stars. The intense radiation emitted by these young stars causes the surrounding gas to glow brightly, creating the stunning view that we can observe from our Earth. The Orion Nebula is a popular target for astronomers and astrophotographers due to its brightness and amazing structure. This nebula can even be observed with the naked eye in the night sky. If you found that video helpful, I would really appreciate a like and a subscription. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and until next time.